let's just talk about this deal. And first of all, just how important has Asia become to Apple? Because it's not just this deal we're talking about with telecom in mobile in China. It's also NTT Docomo, which we're expecting a deal with Apple, which is the biggest carrier in Japan. So just how big is China or Asia for Apple?
Well, starting with China, just to give you a sense of perspective, about 800 million or over 800 million cell phones are going to be shipped this year in China. That's double the size of the U.S. market. There are about 1.3 billion Chinese and 1.1 billion mobile phone accounts in China, and we've barely scratched the surface. You're talking about mostly city dwellers, and people outside the city have sort of low-end function phones. So China alone, that's a place where you almost want to be commoditized because the potential is so great. And then you toss in Japan, where people have money to spend, they're willing to pay for high-end phones, and that's a very attractive market. If you can get in with the top carriers in both of those markets, then you're talking about serious revenue.
Did Apple drop the ball in Asia? Did it not focus hard enough early enough?
Well, you have to focus somewhere, and I think Apple was probably right to go for the strongest market it had, the strongest knowledge it had of a market was in the United States. But now it's Asia's time. You really can't get away with putting two-generation-old phones in China and hoping to get business, because Chinese have the internet, they read newspapers, they have cell phones, and what they want is the latest technology. The problem is the price point.
Which brings us to the iPhone 5C. Do you think this is the game changer for Apple in China?
I've seen some statistics saying that with the new phone, Apple was expected to ship about 20 million iPhones. You throw in China Mobile, and a couple days ago we had a story saying that it looks like they're close to a deal. China Mobile has over 700 million accounts. What you're looking at here is a game changer. Probably another 12 million phones would ship, and you're then looking at China as about a quarter of the iPhones shipped in the world for Apple.
Yeah, that deal with mobile, China Mobile notoriously drives a pretty hard deal. Is Apple going to get much out of this other than a massive distribution, but is it going to get much in a profit line?
It's hard to say. I mean, if you're going to bet big on something, this is probably the great place to start if you want a long-term relationship. Everyone's always saying, you know, if the Chinese would just buy one of this and one of that, you'd have amazing sales. I think cracking the China Mobile conundrum here is an amazing first step for them. It's just the installed base of that company is so large that even if you're not making a big profit, if you can do this through several generations, you'll get your money back.
If you look at the share price of Apple, Adam, I mean, it's come off at $700 highs, hit around 400, back over 500 now. Do you think that if Apple does get this right with China Mobile, with NT Docomo, that we could touch those $700 highs and beyond again?
It's possible, but here's the thing that you have to remember. I mentioned earlier about commoditization. If you're shipping all of your phones and you're sending them overseas, if you become just a producer of phones, then you're competing against giants like Samsung, and you're a dwarf. The key thing for Apple is to keep revolutionizing and innovating. And the 5C, my question is that really an innovation? You're reaching a new market segment, but what's the next new big thing that changes consumers' behavior? Maybe they build a product for China, who knows? But if you want to keep your share price high, you have to stay true to your roots, and Apple's an innovation company.
Well, this has been the long-term question about since Tim Cook came over, isn't it? What is the next big thing at Apple? One of the trends in Asia is the phablet, you know, the hybrid between the tablet and the phone. Is that something that Apple could look at, given that Asian consumers apparently like it?
It wouldn't surprise me. Take this with a grain of salt. There were tons of rumors about Apple. I read something that they're testing out a 6-inch, I guess you'd call that a phablet. It's not really a phone at that size. I don't know who has a pocket that size either. But, you know, that would definitely go after Samsung, which pretty much has a tablet, a phablet, or a phone at any size from, you know, 4 inches all the way up to 10 inches that you want.
The other question is about the independent developers of apps. Apple obviously needs that critical mass to keep the independent developers interested. Does it have to get China on board in a big way to make that happen?
Yes, and I'm really glad you raised the App Store, because it's not just selling hardware that Apple is interested in. It's interested in the whole, you know, ecosphere that it creates, where you have that phone, you need the iTunes Store, of course you need the apps. And I think what you have to do is you have to win over Chinese developers. They need to create native apps for that iPhone. That market alone can sustain a developer. If you have crossover apps, and we're starting to see those now from Japan to the United States, from Korea to the United States, that's huge.
Just very quickly, do colours matter here? Because iPhone famously was black and white. Now it's colours the rainbow in the 5C.
Well, I think red is the new black, green is the new black, blue is the new black. I think this is going to be very popular.
And in a couple of months' time, black will be the new black, no doubt. Adam, thanks so much for coming in.